In the future, a task force sends sentinels to hunt down mutants.
With this weapon, there will be no human collateral damage.
They're here!
Professor X sends Wolverine into the past to stop the program from starting.
I wake up in my younger body, and then what?
Find me, convince me of all of this.
But when past and future collide, the mutants face their greatest challenge yet in X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Hi, I'm Sean, here with Jamie and Scott, and we're going to talk about X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Yep.
We've all just seen it.
Yes, we have.
Now I'm going to mentally send who I want to start first.
That's got to be me.
Okay, I guess
That's
it's
got to
Scott.
be me.
I'm not sure I sent it yet, but
I think
you can go.
cheated, but
I knew, because I'm clairvoyant, and I can tell you, I knew going into this film that it was going to be a return to form for the X-Men series. It's the best film in the X-Men series since 2003's X-Men United. Why? Because Bryan Singer, who directed the first two films and launched this whole modern superhero genre that's been sustaining itself for the past 14 years, brings it back. He brings relevant issues, genocide, racism, alienation, back to the X-Men series, and that's been absent for all these years.
I think you might be ignoring First Class a little bit.
No, I like First Class.
First Class has a lot of those issues too.
First Class is one of the best.
Here's one of the things, I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was thoroughly entertaining. I do think that one of the issues that all of the X-Men movies have always faced is they have a lot of characters that they have to get through, and it's not always easy to give each of them screen time. And here we have that issue expanded upon because some of the characters are seen actually twice.
I thought they did a really good job of orchestrating all those characters. Some of them get more screen time than others, but I thought they did a really good job of developing all of them and giving them time. I have to actually look at the movie in two different ways. One, as a general audience member. So as a general audience member, Jamie, I loved it. I thought it was perfect, like an incredible comic book superhero movie. As the super geek superhero comic book nerd that I am, I had some continuity issues with the film that I can forgive, but the movie goes a long way to fixing the awful continuity that plagued the entire franchise, and it does that really well, but in doing so causes a few minor continuity issues of its own that I think didn't have to happen. That being said, I can talk myself out of them and forgive them and just absolutely love this movie.
Here's why you can talk yourself out of it. The people who recognize those continuity issues, the big comic book fans, this movie, yeah, it's for them, but it's just for general fans who like the other movies.
I agree, and they're gonna love it.
And I feel like because it is darker, because the stakes are a lot bigger, this movie really represents, it's the Empire Strikes Back of the X-Men movies.
I don't know about the fans. I'm not a huge comic book fan. I know the movies, and I had some issues with the fact that this almost seems like a 2-hour and 10-minute attempt to eradicate X-Men.
Well, it was.
The third
No, I
X-Men
mean,
movie
Singer
from the
said
face
so.
of the earth.
It was.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, but even
that's
even
great.
events of that movie that should have some impact on this are not mentioned. Nobody goes, "Hey, Xavier, you know, we have a tombstone for you. You are dead, right? How did you survive?" Nobody mentions it. I know that they're kind of had the other movies bring up that he's alive.
It was
and
addressed
everybody
in a
just
few of the other films, but you're right. It's not really explained in this.
Nor is Magneto, the fact that his powers are fully back when they should have, you know, been eradicated in the third film. Nobody brings that up. But in terms of just comic book fans, I think the comic book fans are going to be able to be brought into the movie a little easier because there are some mutants in this film that I did not recognize that you really just learn their power. Right. I mean, especially the mutants in the future. It's like, okay, I don't know who you are. You have a power. Okay, we're going to go on with the rest of sending Wolverine back in the past, and that's it. So it is sort of, I'm not sure exactly who it's going to play best for. There are elements for both, and that's a good thing, but it also, I think, there are things that the hardcore comic book fans will not like, and there are things that the non-hardcore comic book fans will not like.
But at the end of the day, I think it's overall a really fantastic movie. And the future mutants you were talking about, as someone who knows who all those are, I thought they did a really good job, even though obviously their roles are limited because most of the movie takes place in the past and not the future. I thought they did a really good job of establishing them, especially Bishop, who's a fan favorite character. And I thought that he got a good amount to do, even though it had to be somewhat limited. Quicksilver, while it's not the character I would have introduced into this, I thought that the actor did a really good job of playing it, and those are some of the funnest scenes in the movie. And I thought Mystique, who's one of the great villain characters from the comic books, finally had a chance to really break out and shine, partly because of Jennifer Lawrence, partly because of the script, where she was sidelined in the other films as sort of Magneto's puppet. And Jackman's great as Wolverine, his 7th time doing it, and I thought the stuff between a young Magneto and young Xavier, Fassbender, and McAvoy was fantastic.
You know what? I'm actually proud to say, Jamie, that you have out-nerded me.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for that.
X-Men's my thing.
Angel. Azazel. Emma. Banshee. We were supposed to protect them! Eric, where were you, Charles? You abandoned us all.
We have now, in the last 14 years, 5 Spider-Man movies, 5 X-Men's, 2 Wolverines, 3 Batmans, 3 Iron Mans, 2 Captain Americas,
2
the
different
Avengers,
Supermans.
2 Fantastic Fours, 2 Ghost Riders.
Yeah.
The point being that while these superhero movies have sustained themselves, they've also become very formulaic and conventional, and the pressure is to stand out with a great story with compelling characters, which is why Captain America, the Winter Soldier was great, which is why X-Men Days of Future Past is great.
I get a little tired of the recycled formula element.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Marvel Cinematic Universe fan because I do think a lot of them seem to take the same formula and make them over and over again. This is an X-Men movie that is different from all the ones previous to it. It's entertaining, and that is what I appreciate most about it. I didn't come and see an X-Men sequel. I saw a new standalone X-Men movie.
I agree. I don't think it stands alone as much as maybe you guys do. It still does work as a standalone movie. It works even better if you were a fan of the films and, of course, the comics.
I'm transferring you to a private facility where we can run a few more tests.
Your men are not military.
Private outfit.
These troops are going home.
I don't believe you have jurisdiction in this matter.
I'm afraid I do, son.
All of the screen time is mostly with the first class people, but I thought McAvoy was
the
the real
So
standout.
was
Fassbender was
Fassbender
great,
was fantastic.
Jennifer Lawrence, Jackman.
And what I like about
Yeah.
Fassbender and Lawrence is they're not villains just for the sake of being villains.
No.
They're trying to preserve their species, and that vulnerability is what makes you really sympathize with the bad side of the mutants. But I will say too that in general, the X-Men films, the first one and especially this new one, there's not a lot of action, which is a good thing. I mean, there's like one big action scene at the end of the movie, but that's because there's a lot of development of the characters. You get into it at the end with the Sentinels and with
and
the big
there's action
climactic
with the Sentinels
scene.
at the beginning, and there's sort of a Beast Magneto Mystique fight in the middle. Like I thought it carried itself well. The action, there's just enough action, just enough drama, and just enough character-driven stuff to really make it work.
X-Men Days of Future Past is luckily not a recycled formula, and it secures the franchise's future. See it.
While the comic book geek in me had a few minor continuity issues with the film, I think they're all forgivable. I think this is one of the best superhero films ever. I say see it.
Gentlemen, here's the deal. X still marks the spot. Days of Future Past is exciting, exhilarating, and excellent. See it.
Cheers! To the X-Men!
We agree!
Return to Wolverine!
Sentinels killed my dog!